Hello, joyful creators and Call the Midwife fans. Welcome to our first tutorial on the Classic Midwife Blanket project. The items that you're going to need today are the yarn that you're going to use, and I am choosing to use some yarn that I had on my shelf, and it is an older yarn, but it is by Red Heart. It is called Baby Econo. It is a 6-ounce skein, 170 grams, and there's 460 yards in each skein. It is a medium 4 weight, and let's see, it is 90% acrylic and 10% polypropylene. Okay. And the colorway is called Baby Green. And I was looking to see, there's what I was looking for, the washing instructions. It says wash and dry, reverse side. So I opened another label from one of the other skeins that I have, and it says that care instruction is machine wash warm, gentle cycle, tumble dry low, do not over dry, and for best results on fringe, hand wash or lay flat to dry. We will not be putting fringe on our blanket, so that will not matter. And this yarn, our Walmart back in the day decided to get rid of its craft section, so it put a lot of the yarn on sale, and so I was able to get this yarn on sale. I don't know how much it originally was, but I got it on sale for $1.50 a skein, so not bad. And now we have a project to actually use it. So that is our yarn. The hook that you're going to need is an H size hook, in the US known as a 5.00 millimeter hook. This is a Leither Co hook. I will always put the link in the description box for the Leither Co hooks, but it doesn't matter what style of hook you use. You just need to make sure that it is an H hook or a 5 millimeter hook. You will need a pair of scissors, a darning needle. I always like to have a stitch marker so that as I begin my work, I can always mark the front or right side of my work with. And then you'll need a stitch marker that you can use on your work, so when you have to put your project down, you can secure it so that you don't lose any of your stitches. And this particular stitch marker was a gift to me from a dear friend. And it says, "This too shall pass." And then you always want to have lotion to moisturize your hands and keep your best tool moisturized and hydrated. So if you're ready to get started, lotion up your hands, get all of your supplies, and I'm going to clear off the craft table and we will begin. To get started, we need to create our foundation chain. Remember that the loop on the hook does not count as part of your foundation chain. And we need to chain 160 chains. I have chained 10. I need to chain 150 more. So go ahead and pause the video and work your chain of 160, and we'll meet back up and get started. When you have your foundation chain of 160, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, remember this hook, or excuse me, this chain on the hook does not count as part of your foundation chain. We are going to work a double crochet in the 7th chain from the hook. So we're going to count out 7 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is where we're going to place our double crochet. To do a double crochet, you need to yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull that loop through, and you now have 3 loops on the hook. 1, 2, and 3. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, and that leaves you 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the 2 remaining stitches, and that completes a double crochet. All right, now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip a stitch. So we're going to skip this stitch right here, and then we're going to work a double crochet into the next one. So again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, that leaves you 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through the next 2. All right, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip a space, and we're going to double crochet in the next one. And we're going to do this double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 until we have 8 double crochets. Okay, we're not counting this on the end. This is a spacer. So this is 1, 2, 3 double crochets. We have to do 5 more. So we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet. And this will give us 4 double crochets. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, and this gives us 5 double crochets. Chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next. And I always tell everyone, especially if you're a new beginner to crocheting, the foundation row is always the hardest because you don't have anything to hold on to. But once you have something to hold on to, it does get easier. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got to do 2 more. So chain 1, skip 1, and work a double crochet. And this makes 7. Chain 1, skip 1, and work a double crochet. And now this completes our first block. We'll refer to these in blocks. I know it's kind of hard to see it right now, but as we go, you will understand and see it better. When you have your 8 double crochets, that is going to complete your first block. Now, we're going to create spacers between our blocks. So to do that, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to skip 2 spaces, 2 chains. So 1, 2, and in this third one, we're going to work a double crochet. And this is starting the next block. And we're going to do the same thing that we did here on the first block, here on the second block. So after you make that double crochet, we're going to chain 1, okay? We're going to skip 1, and we're going to go into the next chain and work a double crochet. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip 1, we're going to go into the next one and work a double crochet. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, and work a double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next. And here's our spacer. So let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 2 more. So chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next. That gives us 7. Chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next, and that gives us our 8th double crochet. And so we need to create our spacer. So we're going to chain 2, we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and in the next one work a double crochet, and this is the first double crochet for the next block. We will have a total of 9 blocks on our blanket. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video. You've already worked the first double crochet in your 3rd block. I want you to work your 8 double crochets, remembering to chain 1, skip 1, and then work a double crochet in the next stitch. At the end of the 8th one, you do a chain 2 to create your spacer, skip 2 spaces, and then in the next stitch start the first double crochet for the next block. Go ahead and do all of that until you get down to the remaining 3 stitches or chains. When you get down and you have 3 chains left, I will meet back up with you there. So this is what our row 1, our foundation row, is looking like. And when you finish that last block, the 9th block, and you have your 3 stitches remaining, we've finished the block with that 8 double crochet. We've done our chain 2, and so we are going to skip the next 2 stitches, and in this very last chain we're going to work a double crochet. And again, that completes that first row. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to turn our work and we're going to start row 2. We are going to work a double crochet in the first double crochet. So this chain 4 is going to count as a double crochet on the end, and it's going to count as our chain 2 as well. So then we're going to go right into the top of this double crochet right here, and we're going to work a double crochet. And then we're going to work a double crochet in the next 14 stitches. And that's going to include our chain 1 spaces as well. So that first one we made counts as 1. And we're going to go right into this chain 1 space. And work our second double crochet. And then we're going to go into the next double crochet and work our third double crochet. And then we're going to do our fourth double crochet into this chain 1 space. And you might just have to work it in there a little bit. And then our 5th double crochet. And again, until you get a little bit to hang on to, you just have to do the best you can. And 6. And 7. 8. And 9. 10, 11, 12, 13. That's what it's looking like. 14 and 15. And that creates our first block. That's in our first block. And as you can see, we're at that next chain 2 space, which is what we're going to call spacer. Those are spacers. Okay. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and that's skipping 2. And we're going to go right into this first double crochet and work our next double crochet. And this is the first double crochet for the second block. And then we'll go into that chain 1 space. I'm just having to use my fingers to guide it in there and work the second double crochet, and then the third double crochet, and in that next chain 1, fourth double crochet, and the next one, the 5th double crochet. And again, we're doing 15 double crochets in each block. And if you can hear it, I apologize. That's my dogs eating in the background. And 7. 8. 9. Again, just using my fingers to get into those chain 1 spaces. Had to work that one. 10. 11. 12 and 13. And you do want to make sure you're going into the stitch and not just into the space, because if you go into the stitch, it will give it a much cleaner edge to the blanket for the design. And 15. And that finishes the second block. And you can see we're back to the spacer, the next spacer between block 2 and block 3. And so we're at the end, so we're going to chain 2. And then to start the next one, of course, we're skipping those 2 chains, and we'll work a double crochet into this first double crochet and so forth. So I need you to go ahead and pause the video. Continue working 15 double crochets in each block. And then when you get to the spacers, remember at the end of that last double crochet, the 15th one, you're going to chain 2, skip the 2 chains of the spacer, and then you'll start the next block with your double crochets. When you get down to the last 3 remaining chains, okay, remember when you finish that last double crochet up here in this one, you're going to chain 2, you're going to skip 2, and you're going to work a double crochet into that last double crochet here. And when you get there, I'll meet back up with you and we will get ready to start row 3. So when we're at the end of row 2 and we have worked that last double crochet into that last stitch, we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to turn our work. And now let's begin row 3. And remember, this chain 4 is going to count, the first 2 chains count as your double crochet for that first stitch, and then the last 2 chains count as your chain 2 to create your spacer. We're going to skip those 2 chains and we're going to work a double crochet right here into this first double crochet. And we need a total of 6 double crochets, so that's going to count as 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to redo that because actually the tighter and the neater we do it, the better our midwife pattern is going to look. So 1, 2, 3. You want it to have more of that rope-like look. So that, again, the tighter and neater you make it, the better it's going to look. Okay? We're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and in this next one, we're going to work a double crochet, 1, and we're going to do that for a total of 6 times, so that's going to count as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this is going to end this block. So as we do at the end of all of our blocks, we're going to chain 2 to create our spacer. 1, 2. All right, we're going to skip 2 and come right into this first double crochet and do a double crochet. And this starts our second block, and that's the first one. We need to do 6. So 2 and 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then to create the bottom part of that midwife pattern, we need to chain 3. Remember, nice and neat. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3. Come into this next one and work a double crochet, and we're going to do that for 6 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And chain 2 for the spacer, and then you're going to continue on. You'll skip those 2, work your first double crochet here, work a total of 6, chain 3, skip 3, work 6 more, chain 2 for the spacer, and continue that all the way down. When you get to the last 3, remember, when you get here, you're going to chain 2 for your spacer, skip 2, and work a double crochet in that very end stitch. go ahead and chain 4, turn your work, and I'll come back and meet you and show you how to start row 4. So go ahead and finish row 3, and I'll see you when you're done. We're going to cut that last part and action. And so go ahead and finish. We're going to cut that too and action. So go ahead and pause the video and complete row 3 and get ready to start row 4, and I will meet back with you there. We have finished that 3rd row and chain 4 and turn. So we're ready to start our 4th row. And just like we have been, the chain 4, the first 2 chains count as your double crochet, and the last 2 chains are your chain 2 to create your spacer. And we're going to double crochet right into this first double crochet, and we need a total of 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're now going to chain 4, and again, you want to keep them nice, tight, and neat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to come over here, and in that chain 3, in the actual 3rd chain of the chain 3, you're going to work a single crochet. Then you're going to chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to skip 2 double crochets, so 1, 2, and in this next one we're going to work a double crochet, and we want a total of 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that completes that block. And you can see more of your little midwife pattern forming there. And so we're at the spacer, so we need to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to skip the 2 chains, and we're going to work a double crochet right into this first one. Again, we want 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to come to this chain 3 right here, and we are going to work a single crochet in that 3rd chain. Oops, let's see, 1, 2, yep, right there. And then we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and in this very next one we're going to work a double crochet, and again we need 4, so that will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that completes our 2nd block. Oh, that is so pretty. So we're at the spacer, so we need to chain 2. And then once again, we're just going to repeat that. We're going to skip our 2, work our first double crochet. In that first double crochet, we're going to work 4 double crochets, chain 4, do a single crochet into the 3rd chain of the chain 3. Then we're going to chain 4, skip 2, and then we're going to work 4 more double crochets to finish the block. and then you'll be at the spacer, so you'll chain 2 and so forth, and keep going all the way till you get to the very end. And once again, when you finish this 9th block, you will chain 2, skip 2, the 2 chains, work a double crochet in this last double crochet, chain 4, turn your work, and I will meet up with you and we will start row 5. We finished row 4 and now we're at the beginning to start row 5, and again your chain 4 at the beginning counts as your first double crochet and your chain 2 for your spacer. We're going to work a double crochet into this first double crochet, and we have to have a total of 6 double crochets, so that counts as 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and we're going to work those next 2 double crochets in the first 2 chains of our chain 4 here. So 5 and 6. And then we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then we are going to work 6 more double crochets, and we're going to start with the first 2 going into our chain 4 here into the last 2 chains of that chain 4. So here's our first double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. And this completes our first block. And so we're going to chain 2 for our spacer. 1, 2. We're going to skip those 2 chains, and we're going to do a double crochet right here into this first double crochet. And again, we need 6, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and our 5th and 6th double crochet are going to be in the first 2 chains of this chain 4. So there's 5 and 6. And then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to come over to the last 2 chains of this next chain 4, and we're going to work our first 2 double crochets in those last 2 chains. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that completes our second block. That is so pretty. And of course, we're at our spacer, so we need to chain 2. 1, 2. Then you're going to continue on repeating that pattern all the way down to the end. And again, you're going to skip these 2 chains of the spacer. You're going to work 6 double crochets. Remember, your 5th and 6th double crochet will be in the first 2 chains of this chain 4. You'll chain 3, and then you'll skip over, and the last 2 chains of the 2nd chain 4, you'll start your 1st and 2nd double crochets and work 4 more for 6. Then you're at the spacer, you'll chain 2 and continue on. When you get all the way down to the end and you complete your 9th block and you're at the spacer, you're going to chain 2, skip 2, and you're going to work a double crochet into this last stitch, then chain 4, turn your work, and I'll come back and show you how to do row 6. We're at the end of row 5. We've chained 4, so now we're going to turn and get ready to start row 6. We're going to skip this chain 2 space here, and we are going to work a double crochet into the first double crochet, like that, and that creates our space for that row. And then we're going to work a double crochet into the next 14 spaces so that we have a total of 15 double crochet for this first block. And when you get to your chain 2 here, you're going to want to work in the actual chain versus the space, because it will give your blanket a neater and cleaner look. And we have one more double crochet after this, and it will finish this first block. And that is what we have. And you can see how nice and clean that hole right there looks with us actually doing that double crochet into that space. So that is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then we're going to chain 2 for our spacer, and we're going to repeat. We're going to come make a double crochet into that first double crochet. So there's my first chain, my second chain, and then I'll go into the double crochet right here, and we'll work 15 double crochets across this row, or across this block. I apologize. And again, when you come to the chain 2 space, you want to work your double crochets into the actual chains and not into just that space. And for this row, each block will have 15 double crochets on it, and then you'll have a chain 2 space dividing each block. And that is my 14th double crochet, and this is my 15th. And then I will chain 2 for the spacer. And so I'm going to continue doing that all the way down row 6, working 15 double crochets for each block, and then chain 2 for each spacer. And that is already just beautiful. So go ahead and continue going all the way down row 6. When you get to the end, chain 4, turn your work, and I will come back and work row 7 with you. And at that point, we will then have completed our pattern. Our pattern will be rows 2 through 7, and we'll just continuously repeat those. But after this row, we'll work row 7, and that will be all that we will do for today, because we'll have completed the first pattern. So I will meet you when you get to the end of row 6. So I've worked the last double crochet in this last block, and I decided to come back and join you before finishing row 6, just to make sure you remembered exactly how to end it. And so when you've created that last double crochet for this block, which would be the 15th double crochet, you're going to chain 2 for your spacer, and then you're going to go right into the top of that chain 4 and work the last double crochet. And then this is what you have. Love it. So to start row 7, we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to turn our work. Row 7 is going to be worked just like this row 1. It's going to create the divider between each of these sections, the blocks, and it's going to continue creating this block around each of the blocks, the border, the like spacer border. So we're going to make a double crochet into this first double crochet. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip this next double crochet, and we're going to go right into the next one and work a double crochet. Chain 1, skip the next one, and work a double crochet into the next one. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, work a double crochet into the next, and we're just going to keep working this all the way across the block. So when we get down to the end of the block, we will actually have a total of 8 double crochets in the block. And we're just about to the end here. We've got one more to work, and then we'll go back and count. Okay, so when we get to the end here, we should have 8 double crochets. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that officially gives you your first full block. So then we're going to chain 2 for our spacer. 1, 2, and again we're going to go right into the top of that first double crochet and work a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, work a double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip the stitch right here and work a double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip, work a double crochet into the next, and we're just going to continue that all the way down to the end of the block. And again, we will have 8 double crochets in that block. And working the last one right now. And let's just go back and count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, there are 2 blocks completely done. And it'll look even better as you get more blocks built. So go ahead and finish working that all the way down to the end of the row. And again, when you get to the last double crochet here, you're going to chain 2 for your spacer and work your last double crochet in the top of the chain 4. Okay. Remember, well, I say the top of the chain 4, but your first 2 chains create your spacer, so it's really in the top of the second chain that you made that creates the double crochet. But okay, and do that, and then I will meet back up with you. So we are at the end of row 7. So we have finished our first section of blocks, and now we will just continue repeating rows 2 and 7, but we will do that when we come together next week. So I hope you have enjoyed this first episode of our classic midwife baby blanket, and I look forward to meeting with you week after week and building upon this blanket and making a beautiful classic midwife blanket together. Well, this has been Funday Monday, part 1 of the Midwife Classic Blanket. My name is Cynthia with Cynthia's Joyful Creations, and until next time, be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, and make your own joyful creations. Bye, everyone.